So what's the secret to writing a good research paper? Um, in my view, and I think anybody that was really serious as a researcher, they would say that there's only one thing, um, and that is just butt in seat. Like sitting down and writing as much as you possibly can at any given time. And it's such a challenging thing. That's why I talk about how unless, you know, um, on this podcast, I talk about this. This is like the thing is the mental game of it. Is really knowing you just got to get your butt in the seat. There's like no magic to it, right? I think that that is where that there is a lot of mistakes that are being made, and particularly people that are on YouTube and online and all that kind of stuff. They don't know what they're talking about because they're communicating that there is an easy trick and there's one thing. And it's usually somebody that's really naive, or somebody that is like outside of the domain that is communicating this. Like, just look at them in terms of who they are. Almost always they're outside of the domain. Most people that is actually doing it will just tell you it's just butt in seat. It's just hours that you put into actually working at something. Now you can get, and I think like good mentorship can make a big, big difference, right? And that good mentorship is often, it's a shoulder to cry on, because it's like an extraordinarily mentally taxing career to sit down and do research every single day, right? Like you have such a mental play where you're sitting there and you're thinking like, I'm not good enough. Like, what am I doing here? Um, I'm really not bright. Like all of these things are going in your mind. Everybody else is faster than me. Um, all of these things, and it may be true, right? Like that is a legit concern that may be true. But you can't stop those things. You can't fix them, right? They're outside of your control in terms of what you can do. The only thing that you can do is just get butt in seat. Um, and so all of it is really practicing that in terms of what is butt in seat. But here's the thing, butt in seat, right? Like sitting down and doing the work is a lonely, really tedious, boring thing for most people. And we struggle with it, right? So the longer, you could sort of model this as a trade-off of some sort of, um, some sort of Weibull function, I guess, right? Like a distribution that after a certain amount of time, or a hazard function that, you know, to do well, it's butt and seat. But the counter force is butt in seat. The longer that you do butt in seat, the more likely that you're going to experience some sort of costs, right? It's some sort of catastrophic thing that happens to you, a mental breakdown, um, loss of family, right? Like, um, I don't know, you name it, any number of different things that are negative that will harm you and harm your chance. And there's this sort of trade-off thing. Now, I think that there is the odd person that can do butt in seat for a prolonged period of time, and get away with it without all of the serious deleterious effects. Serious researchers that, yeah, I mean, I hate to say it, but it's often, people that have more flexibility. What might be is people that can actually spend more time, but in seat versus being with, a significant other. Um, people that don't have as many connections and dependencies. Um, people that don't have as many responsibilities, like all of these kind of things, right? Like that adds up. And so you often see is this trade-off, right? And that trade-off is usually early on that plays out. Um, and you see that all the time. Later on, it disappears, I think, right? Because people start getting connections in their life and relationships, those kind of things. Um, and and all of those play out, right? So how do you actually make a better research paper? It's all just putting in sheer number of hours repeatedly. It's being very bored often. There is a lot of iterative processing that goes on in terms of reading and thinking and then writing and feeling behind almost all the time. Um, Once you get used to that sort of butt in seat mentality, and the longer that you do this, the better off that you actually are. But then you have to maintain and make sure that you're healthy with the butt in seat, right? Like figuring that out. What are the pressure points that lead you to get out of butt in seat? Um, and once you figure that out, you can actually do really well, right? In the research game of figuring that out. So a lot of people, directly related in the profession, it's like things like teaching and administrative efforts, those kind of things, so reducing those. Um, in other areas of your life, it's making sure that everybody's happy and healthy. Uh, but other than that, that's it. That's the name of the game. And to some degree, good mentorship is there to help you maintain butt in seat so that you feel okay. You're not going to feel like you're being, completely foolish. Um, so that's it. That's how you write a good research article. I hate to say it. It sucks. Um, it sucks that there is not a better solution, right? I'm trying to build that with the reciprocity platform, but man, it's hard because there is a lot that goes on behind the scenes. All right. Take care and have a wonderful day. Bye.